everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Rhiannon and today I thought I'd give you all a little mid-month wrap up. So after last month's wrap up, which contained 15 books, I thought it would be a better idea to split the month into two. So the first 2 weeks will be what I've read in this video today, and then at the end of the next 2 weeks I will do another video wrapping up my reading for those weeks. So I think these books are from the 1st till the 18th or 19th of May, I'm not quite sure, but it's around then. It's basically the first week of May and then the first week of Believathon. So without further ado, I'll just go into the books. First up is a book that I don't actually have with me because I did read it on my Kindle, and that is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I'm participating in the Cosmere Along, which is a readathon for Brandon Sanderson's books in the Cosmere. I will leave all the links you need to that down below. It's hosted by Rachel Marie, but she does have a lot of other co-hosts. And for April / a bit of May, we needed to read The Final Empire, and so I decided to do a 24-hour readathon type thing to try and complete it, so I will also leave that video link down below if you want to check that out and see how I did. I really enjoyed this book. I think it was a good first book in a new series. It set out everything really well, and I ultimately did give it 5 stars because it's just such a complex world. The action scenes are brilliant and the character development and certain scenes were just amazing. So that's the 5-star read for me. Next up, I read The Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. I am loosely participating in the Asian Readathon this month, so I haven't necessarily looked at the prompts, but I have just picked up a lot of books by Asian authors from my TBR and have decided to read those books throughout the month. For now, it's currently Believathon, so I have put these books down, but for the last week of the month, I will hopefully be picking up more Asian authors. But this is the first book in a trilogy where we follow a girl named Yumiko. Now, she works and lives at a sacred temple, however, one day the temple is destroyed and she is set out on a quest to protect a piece of the dragon scroll, which a lot of different people are after to try and bring back the dragon, which is not good at all. On the way, she teams up with Kage Tatsumi, who is a demon hunter who is after the scroll. However, of course, he doesn't know Yumiko has the scroll, and so they both journey on together. This was interesting. I really enjoyed it, but at the same time, there was something that I just could not put my finger on that I just wasn't keen on. So I ended up giving this one a 3.5 stars, I think, but because Goodreads only does full star ratings, I think I gave it a 4-star overall. I did really enjoy this. The representation is amazing. We have a lot of folklore and mythical creatures. So the main character is actually a kitsune, which I forgot to mention. We do have the samurai, which is really cool to read about. We also have the dragon, and there's just a lot of creatures and different obstacles on the way that is just really fun to read about. I know Kristen from Super Space Chick actually said that this was basically an anime in book form, and I definitely agree with that. I got those vibes, so if you're into that, you will probably love this one. Next up, I decided to read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. I have only ever read the first book in this series, which is this book, and I'm very ashamed. So I decided this month that I wanted to read the series and vlog my experience, so there will be a separate reading vlog for my thoughts on this series, and I just love this. I flew through it. It's just phenomenal. Again, it has so much mythology intertwined in the actual story, because if you don't know, Percy is a demigod, which means he is half human, half god. One day his life completely changes when a minotaur attacks him and his mother and actually takes his mother from him. Percy is then left on the border of Camp Half-Blood, which is a training facility type of camp for demigods, and when he gets there, it's revealed that the minotaur chased him because he thought that Percy had stolen Zeus's lightning bolt. So it's all about Percy trying to find out who the actual thief is because he didn't do it, and going on a quest to try and prove his innocence and recover the lightning bolt. I think I flew through this in a day as well. I just could not put it down. It's one of those where it's just phenomenal. You don't need to know anything about Greek mythology going into it. This is a great learning platform into Greek mythology, I think, because reading this, it has, like I said, the mythology, it has a lot of historical figures from Greek myths and the classics, so yeah, it's very, very interesting and I absolutely loved it. And this is the perfect time for me to start reading this series, because if you didn't know, Rick Riordan has just announced that Percy Jackson has been bought by Disney Plus, and so there will be a new series, and I am so excited. I cannot wait, and I'm so glad that I decided to pick these up. Next up, we have one that I've been putting off reading for so long, and that is Warcross by Marie Lu. I put it off mainly because the sci-fi gaming genre is not my favourite, and that's just personal preference. It takes me a while to get into. However, when I looked at my shelves for Asian authors, I picked this one up and I read the synopsis, and it sounded like one of my favourite films, which is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I haven't read that book, I've just seen the film, but oh my goodness, I loved it so much. It's one that I will rewatch constantly because I just absolutely love it, and I definitely got those vibes reading this. This is the story about Amika Chen, who is a hacker. She is in a bit of trouble at the start of this novel financially, but when she hacks into the opening ceremony for the Warcross games, she manages to glitch herself into the competition, and because of that, everyone can see her, everyone knows who she is, and the creator of the game Warcross actually contacts her and brings her to Tokyo to try and work with him to find a certain other hacker. However, it's not all fun and games, it's very intense. There is a romance, there is a lot of good friendships actually. We do have the different teams in this game, which we do see a lot of, and I enjoyed that aspect of it. And the ending was brutal, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't really see it coming at all, and it kind of broke my heart. To be honest with you. Yeah, it was just so good. I did give it a 4 stars overall, just because it didn't quite hit that 5-star feeling for me, and I do understand why. It's because sci-fi isn't really my genre, but I flew through this. It was such a quick read. Again, with the gaming aspect, you just fly through it. It's easy to pick up and it's explained so well. However, I'm not sure if I want to pick up the sequel because I have heard mixed things and I've heard a lot of bad things. I do want a conclusion to this story though, so I might end up buying it. Please let me know down below what you guys thought of this. Did you enjoy it? Is it worth picking up the sequel? I'd love to know, just because again, I'm not too sure. I really enjoyed this one, so I don't want the series to be tainted with me reading the second book and not enjoying it. Right, from this point on, Believathon started, and if you don't know what Believathon is, it is a readathon hosted by Gavin over at How to Train Your Gavin, and it's basically to read middle grade the whole length of the readathon. So this is the second round, and it's a bit different to the main Believathon. This is only for 2 weeks, and so there's a few less prompts, I believe. I have filmed my TBR for that, so if you are interested and want to know more, then I will of course leave that link down below for you guys. But the premise of this readathon is that you have to follow a certain path to get to the bookkeeper's stronghold at the end. That's the end destination for everyone. And the first stop on the Believathon map is Poacher's Pocket Inn, and that is to read the first book in a series, and for that one I chose Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. And oh my goodness, I could not have chosen a stronger book to start off with. I absolutely love this one so much. So basically in this book we follow a girl called Morrigan Crow who is actually a cursed child, and that means on Eventide, which is her 11th birthday, she will die. However, on the eve of her 11th birthday, a mysterious man called Jupiter North sweeps in and takes her away to a magical land called Nevermore. It's all that Morrigan could have wanted and more. However, if she does want to stay in Nevermore, she will have to join the Wondrous Society, and the only way to do that is to complete certain trials. So in this book we do follow Morrigan's journey and her tackling all these different trials, so it's very fun and very reminiscent of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire actually. If you enjoyed that one, you will definitely love this. The characters in this were amazing. It was so easy to read, and one of my main points for this one was that it was extremely atmospheric. There was one scene where I literally felt like I was there, and it's so weird to me. But if you guys have read it, it's the scene with Saint Nick and the Yule Queen, and that one just really got to me for some reason. I loved that one so much. I don't want to say it anymore in case I spoil it, but yeah, I loved this one so much. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm just so glad that I finally picked it up. Next up is a book that I won't talk too much about because I have already mentioned one of the books in the series before this, and it is Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. This is the second book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, and again, I gave this 5 stars. I can't really say much about it because, like I said, it is the second book, and I've already talked about Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, so I don't want to repeat myself, but just know that this was phenomenal again. I really enjoyed this book, and I gave this one 5 stars too. This wasn't for any specific prompt in Believathon, by the way. I think I just picked it up because the second book that I have read for Believathon I listened to on audiobook, so whilst I was able to sit down and read physically, I chose this one to carry on with the series. Then the audiobook that I was listening to was A Pinch of Magic by Michelle Harrison, and that was for the second prompt, which was to read a book featuring a family relationship, and I think that was Baba Yaga's house, and it really does have one of the best family relationships that I have read in a long while. And it's one of those that's very relatable. Like, I said this in one of my weekly reading vlogs, but I have a sister. She is 4 years younger than me, and we butt heads all the time. But when it comes down to it, we would have each other's backs no matter what, and I feel like this is portrayed so well in this book. I absolutely loved it. In this book, we are following a group of 3 sisters. They are actually cursed to live on this island their whole lives. They cannot leave it, and if they do leave it, they will die. So it's all about these sisters coming together and trying to figure out a way to break their curse so that they'll be free to live how they want to. And I just loved it. Obviously, it's not smooth sailing. We do have a few bumps along the way, but it's just such a heartwarming story, and I just absolutely loved it. I gave that one 5 stars too, I think. I really enjoyed it. And then after that is another book that I gave 5 stars. I feel like I'm being very repetitive right now, so I'm sorry, but I read Arsenic Forty, which is the second book in the A Murder Most Unladylike series by Robin Stevens. This was just amazing. I feel like it was so much better than the first one, and again, one that I just flew through. I really did not want to put this down. I was very compelled to keep reading with this book, which I feel like is just a great factor, because if I don't want to put a book down, then you know it's doing something right. I don't really want to spoil anything for this book because it is the second one, but in the first one we are in a boarding school and we are introduced to Daisy Wells and Hazel Wong, who have formed their own little detective society. However, life at the boarding school is quite boring, there's no major crimes, and so they have been forced to solve little mysteries around the school. However, one day this changes when Hazel actually stumbles upon a dead body in their gymnasium, and by the time she's gone to alert people to this dead body, it has disappeared, leaving no trace of a murder. So it's all about Hazel and Daisy coming together to solve this crime and to see if there actually was a murder, because like I said, Hazel is the only person to have seen the body. It's just a really, I don't want to say fun because it deals with really bad and heavy topics, but it is a fun series. It's just very easy to read. The characters are really enjoyable. The setting is also really nice, especially in this one because we are in Daisy's home. So it was cool seeing a different aspect of the girl's life away from school. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. And then lastly, I took a bit of a break from Believathon to read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is the book club pick of the month for Books with Chloe's Patreon book club, and so I decided that because I'd already completed over half the books I needed for Believathon, I'd take the weekend to read this YA sci-fi, and I'm so glad that I did because I ended up really enjoying this book. I'm still not sure whether to give it a 4.5 or a 5 star. I don't think a sci-fi's ever gotten a 5 star off of me because, like I said, it's not my genre, but this one for some reason was just really freaking good. And I really enjoyed it, and I actually flew through it. So in this book we follow Spencer, who has wanted to be a pilot all of her life. However, in one of the biggest battles in their history, her father flees and is branded a coward. So this book is all about Spencer trying to fit into a society that has already decided that they want nothing to do with her. And obviously we follow Spencer as she tries to overcome all of these obstacles and pursue her dream to be a pilot. If this doesn't sound like your kind of thing, I would highly advise you to pick it up anyway, because it's one of those books that I feel like anyone could read and would enjoy. And that's rich coming from me. Space just creeps me out, and it's usually too complicated for me. It's very tech savvy normally, and I just can't follow that. I can't be arsed with it. But in this one it was so accessible, everything was explained really well, I wasn't confused, and I just really enjoyed it. So yeah, I would highly recommend this to anyone. There we go, so these are all the physical books that I managed to read in the first half of May, as well as The Final Empire and A Pinch of Magic. So I've read quite a bit this month and I didn't think that I had at all. So I am really glad that I decided to split this video up into 2 parts. That was heavy, I've decided to put them down. But that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click the like button down below, as well as the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye!